What's up guys, Intellitech Mobile here, and today I'm doing a video going over my entire console collection of all of my Xboxes. Now, in case you can't tell by what's in front of you, the vast majority of my collection is various different versions of the Xbox 360. So I originally was going to do just an Xbox 360 console collection, but considering I only have two other Xboxes that aren't 360s, I figured I'd just go over my entire collection since there's only two extra consoles, and you'll immediately tell which ones they are in this next shot, because before I show you all these, I'll show you the consoles that I'm actually using at this point in time, then we'll get into the actual collection. So we'll do that real quick. So looking at my actual entertainment center, we can tell it's kind of in disarray right now, but you can pretty much see all three Xboxes in this shot. So I'm not going to do a whole like gaming setup tour or anything like that just yet, because you can tell everything's in disarray right now. I'm still organizing stuff, and there's some consoles that I'm going to be getting pretty soon that'll kind of flesh out this whole unit. So first thing we have is the original Xbox. Now the original Xbox, this particular Xbox, you can tell I actually have a Core i5 sticker on it. That's the sticker that came with my CPU whenever I built my computer a few years ago. That's the sticker that goes to an i5 6600K, so that's loosely attached on there. It's barely hanging on there. I'm surprised it's still attached. But either way, it's just a special edition. So, other than that, it's just a basic black Xbox. It's one of the later Xboxes from I don't actually remember when it's from. You know what? It's not hooked up. We'll just go ahead and grab it. It needs cleaned. Yes, I know. But I haven't cleaned it yet. But you can see it's just a basic Xbox. I do normally have it hooked up via component. This one's a much later Xbox. This one's from May of 2004. So this is long after they removed the clock capacitor. At least that's my understanding of it. So I don't need to open it or anything, and because it's a late model Xbox, that also means that it kind of skirts many of the issues that these early ones had with the DVD drives and all that, as well as what the early 360s had. So this is one of the much later Xboxes, but unfortunately it's right before the Halo Special Edition Xbox came out, so it's just a basic black one. But hey, I do still appreciate the way this looks. I'd love to get the Mountain Dew Xbox. I'd love to get the blue one, the orange one, since blue and orange are my favorite colors, but those are incredibly rare. Even the Halo Special Edition one, ever since COVID, has completely shot up in price. So yeah, I'm not going to get my hands on any of those anytime soon, unfortunately, but I do have an Xbox, and it does work, which is great, because the backwards compatibility project for the Xbox One and Xbox 360, obviously now it's more relevant as Xbox One, it doesn't exactly support every game. And I'll do a video later on actually my game collection, but right now we're just focusing on the hardware, since hardware is personally more interesting to me. So we're starting with that, and because again I need to get more shelves and stuff for all my games. So yeah, that's the original Xbox. It just barely fits in my entertainment center. This is a Better Homes and Gardens 8 cube organizer in the natural finish, in case you're wondering. And I do have one of these H shelves, but unfortunately those are all out of stock, so I can't order any more of those. But it doesn't matter, because this Xbox is so beefy that it just barely slides in anyways. So the only way to use the vertical space is to stack stuff on top of it, which thankfully you can kind of do, but it's bulged out, so you can't really put stuff on top of it. But you're not technically supposed to, and obviously it's not designed to stand up on its end, so it's kind of clunky, but it does work. And I love the Xbox. It's my favorite console of the 6th generation, and it's pretty much what's cemented my personal enjoyment of the Xbox platform, because it's just better than the PS2. I know. I probably just ruffled a bunch of feathers by saying that, but in my opinion, the Xbox is better than the PS2, because the graphics are better, the controller's nicer, at least in my opinion. Even the Duke is much nicer. It's got a hard drive, a lot of other stuff that just in general makes it really, really nice. And plus, with component cables, out of every 6th generation console, this one cleans up the best. With even crappy component cables, this looks really good on a modern TV, even without being attached to any sort of scaler. And a lot of games support 720p, which is really, really interesting. So the Xbox has aged very well as well. So I'm a very big fan of the Xbox. The only reason I'm not playing it right now is because I gotta go back to my old house and grab some controllers, because I'm in the middle of moving a bunch of stuff from my old room out of my dad's house. And once I grab my controllers, I'll be able to actually play this. So yeah, that's the original Xbox. Next up here, we're going kind of out of order. We've got the Xbox One S. Now, this particular machine I actually got as a gift, and this is not my first Xbox One S. I actually had an Xbox One S identical to this. It was also a 1 terabyte that I bought a few years ago. But shortly after I bought it, one of my friends that I was staying with at the time actually stole it and traded it into a pawn shop. And unfortunately, I still have not been able to get the police to release the console in order for me to get it, which kind of sucks. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But either way, once I eventually get that back, I will have an Xbox One S that works, because unfortunately this one does not. It was a little bit dirty on the inside, so I decided to open it up to clean it, and in the process, the power supply actually shorted itself out, and from presumably me putting the front panel on incorrectly, I also damaged the power button, so now the power button doesn't click. The sync button does, but the power button doesn't click. So, and I know it's both and not just the power button, because the controller or the sync button doesn't turn it on either. So I need to replace both the power board and the power supply, which thankfully is not a lot of money, but right now, as a result, my Xbox One S is out of commission. I did order an Xbox One X to replace it, but the seller never shipped it, so tomorrow I'm going to have to fight with eBay to try to get my money back. I waited 45 minutes on hold today to get my refund, and they're like, actually, you have to wait till tomorrow, even though the website literally tells you that it's today that you can file a claim. So I have to wait till tomorrow and then try to get my, $160 back. So I will replace this with an Xbox One S or maybe even a Series X soon, depending on when I can find one. But I may just get a One X. I'm still going to fix this, but I'm going to replace it with a One X for now. And then, so that way I have an Xbox One to play and I don't have to rush with fixing this one. And then it's not as, critical to get it running. So I will still fix this, but in the meantime, I'll just replace it and upgrade it to a 1X, although I'll still hold on to this, fix it, and possibly resell it, or maybe stick in the bedroom. I don't know. I'm rambling. Either way, this is for this exact model, maybe not this exact one, since I mentioned the first one is not in my possession, but this is my first ever Xbox One, and yeah, so I never owned a fat Xbox One, because it doesn't fit in my entertainment center. So, yeah, that's my Xbox One S, 1 terabyte, which is broken, and like every other Xbox One, after you install 2 games, it's out of storage, which is really annoying. I gotta get one of those external hard drives. But yeah, so that's my Xbox One S, 1 terabyte. And next to it is my daily 360. So you can tell I've got this hooked up. I've got a bunch of random tools here. You can tell what game I've been playing. One of my best friends, she comes over all the time and we play Call of Duty. Usually Modern Warfare 3, but sometimes also Black Ops 2. It's super cheesy, but I've been having a lot of fun with that. And the main reason is because even before my Xbox broke, I didn't have, any extra controllers. I only had one controller, or at least I thought so. So we played on 360, because I have a ton of 360 controllers. And I might show that later in the video if we have enough time. So this is my daily 360. This memory card is pretty useless. I do have 2 of these 64 megabyte ones, but this little bracket broke because these doors on these faceplates are very fragile. I have a silver faceplate somewhere, but I don't know where it is. So to plug this hole, I just got one of these memory units. Obviously I don't actually store anything on it, but yeah. This is a arcade model. It's a Jasper motherboard. This one's from 2009, so it is a late model 360 fat. So no red ringing issues, no issues with reading discs or scratching games, none of that stuff. So it's pretty good. One thing I have noticed is that I had this laying on its side for a while, and now the disc tray will sometimes get stuck when it's upright. So that time it's going to call me a liar, but usually it gets stuck. It mainly gets stuck when there isn't a disc in there. If I leave a disc in there, it's fine. Now, I could open it up and remove the drive belt and wash it, just kind of clean it off, because that's the reason why these drives get stuck. But this warranty seal isn't broken on this, so I don't really want to do that. So I might end up using one of those Elites that you'll see later instead. But one interesting thing is that on the side, I actually have what looks like one of these standard 20 gigabyte hard drives. It looks like this. So you would think, oh, why are you using the old 20 gigabyte hard drives? Well, I'm actually not. So since I had a few extras of these, and since these are useless and they don't actually have the amount of gigabytes written on it, I took one of these and I gutted it, and I took a 500 gigabyte hard drive from an Xbox 360 Slim, since those go up to 500 gigabytes. You can't put any hard drive in the 360. Unfortunately, you have to use one that's either been formatted already, or if you get the exact model as the ones that they use in 360 drives, you can sometimes get them to format, but it's a real pain. So I just took one out of a slim drive because it was the newest 360 drive you can get, so it's going to be the best shape, and it was 500 gigs. So I opened the cage up, I retrieved the drive itself, and I installed the drive in this caddy. So while this looks like it's a basic 20 gigabyte drive, it's actually a 500 gigabyte drive. So, and it looks exactly proper. It looks just like a stock OEM 360 drive. So I have a ton of space on this 360. I can install as many games as I realistically want. And right now, I actually have about 106 gigs that I've actually used on it, which is pretty insane. So I could downgrade the drive. I could put a genuine 250, because for this model, they did make them up to 250 in the genuine hard drives. But hey, this works. And the only reason I'll change this is if I switch over to a black 360 Elite, then I'll cannibalize this extra 120 gig drive I have, because I'm very particular about everything matching. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And also on this 360, before I had that, I actually had the gray version of this 120 gigabyte drive that I actually used as my main drive for a while. I don't know where it is. I thought I pulled it out, but I guess I didn't. So that drive is what I used for a while, in case you care, in case you're curious. I also used for a while the 360 Wi-Fi adapter whenever I had the 360 in my bedroom. But unfortunately, just the other day, it broke, which is unfortunate. It still works, it's just this piece of plastic actually broke. So, yeah, it works still, but it's very droopy. But I've had this for about 10 years now, so I'm not really all that, hard on it for breaking. But still unfortunate. But I do have another one of these. I want to get one of the black ones with 2 antennas, since those do better. But when I have it in my living room, since my router and my modem is underneath this blue basket, or behind it I should say, I just have it Etherneted into the console, which is the way to go, especially if you have gigabit fiber like I do. Ethernet is the way to go on the 360, because the Wi-Fi, even the ones built into the Slims, is still really bad compared to today's standards. So if you can hardwire your 360, definitely do that. That's the way to do it. If you want the best performance from your 360 from Xbox Live, from streaming and all that stuff in today's day and age, you definitely want to use Ethernet. And if you're going to use Ethernet, that doesn't really matter what version of the 360 you have, because obviously these ones don't have Wi-Fi built in, but if you're using Ethernet anyways, it doesn't matter too much. And of course, this is a Jasper, so it has HDMI, so I'm using that as well. And that is pretty much that. It's also worth mentioning that I do have 2 Kinect sensors. They're both pretty much the same. The only difference is that one of them has a bit more of a shiny design. So this one, you can tell it's silver in the middle. The other one that I actually use is black all the way around. But they made a white one. They did make a white Kinect, and I do kind of want to get that, as well as the matching 360S white console. But I don't have those right now, so it'd be cool to get those, especially because if I got a white Kinect, then it would actually match this. But hey, what are you gonna do? So now we'll come over to these. I do have another 360 down there. It's just a basic one. Nothing really too crazy about that. So yeah, here is my massive collection of Xbox 360s. So I'm going to move all these down onto the carpet, and we'll focus on each of these one at a time. So for the sake of organization, for all of my 360s, we're going to go in the order of the manufacturing date, at least based on year. Most of my 360s are from 2009, so I'm not going to be too picky about what order I go in from there, but I'm going to start off with years. I don't own any 2005 360s. No, to my knowledge, I never did. I did own a 2006 with blades on it, but I sold that one a while ago, so don't have that. So the newest one is going to be from 2007, and that is this guy. So this is the Halo 3 Special Edition Xbox 360 with the matching hard drive. So this one is pretty interesting. So this is, to my knowledge, the first major, at least, the first major special edition Xbox 360. Now, of course, they did have the Halo Special Edition original Xbox, so they kept the trend going with the Xbox 360, and I have two of them. Trying to get the other one, but can't find it right. I mean, I can find my local shop does have a Halo Reach and a White Slim, both what I want, but they're in pretty bad condition, so I'm not really sure if I want to go down that route, because I like all my collectible consoles to be in good shape. For example, this one's in beautiful shape. All the bits on the faceplate are still good. The warranty sticker, I believe, is intact, but I could be wrong. No, yeah, it is. The warranty sticker is intact. So, yeah, I do love this console. Now, obviously, I don't play this console because it is a Zephyr, which is just a Xenon with HDMI, so the reliability of this unit is pretty bad. Although this one does work. The DVD drive works perfectly, there's no red ring of death, it runs very smoothly, and I have the matching 20GB Halo 3 hard drive with the lovely orange accents. So, this console is gorgeous. I don't have the matching controller, unfortunately, but I do ironically have the matching headset. So I'm still looking for the matching controller, so if anyone has one of the army green controllers that went with this console and you want to sell it to me, let me know. I'm also looking for one of the launch white controllers, as well as the blue controller and, you know, other stuff like that. I'm collecting a lot of 360 controllers right now. So we can see this is a Zephyr motherboard, 16.5 amps, HDMI. So not definitely a recommendation for a console that you should play, although they did make Falcon versions of these. So if you really want a Halo 3 to play on, they did actually make this through the transition to the Falcon motherboard. And the Falcons are pretty reliable. They're not as good as the Jaspers, but they're pretty okay. If you're careful with it, you shouldn't have too many issues. So you can get a Falcon version of this. I have been unsuccessful at finding one that functions, although not Red Ring of Death, but every Falcon Halo 3 that I found had disk drive issues. This one thankfully does not. So this one works beautifully, but of course I'm not going to use it because it's just so pretty and I don't want to mess it up. Plus it doesn't really match anything else. So that is that. The Halo 3 is Special Edition 20GB console. Alright, so now that we've been to 2007, let's visit 2008. Well, minus the financial crisis. But other than that, let's go back to 2008, where here we have the Falcon motherboard. So now the Falcon motherboard was introduced to alleviate many of the problems with the Xenon and the Zephyr. There also was the Opus, which is just the Falcon with HDMI that you got when you sent your Xenon back to Microsoft, and they couldn't repair yours and ran out of Xenons to replace it with. I did a video on that. You're probably familiar with that video if you're watching this one. So this is a Falcon Elite. It's just a basic Elite. So this is when they introduced the Elite. It was actually with the Zephyr, but obviously these were produced in the Zephyr, Falcon, and Jasper. So this is the middle one, the Falcon, from 2008. 120GB hard drive, lovely matte black finish. That sounds really nice whenever you rub on it. And of course, we've got, well, that's pretty much it. You got the big hard drive and you got the black finish. That's pretty much it. And of course, when these first came out, they introduced HDMI. But by the time 2008 rolls around, all the 360s by this point have been retrofitted with HDMI. So not much of a selling point of the Elite anymore, but it still is the best Xbox at the time. So the Falcon motherboard is the one where they really addressed the Red Ring of Death issue, although these still weren't perfect. Because once they reduce the dies one more time to the Jasper, I forgot the exact nanometers off the top of my head, but once they get to the Jasper is when these are really reliable. The Falcons are still pretty good though, so if you have a Falcon and it hasn't red ringed by now, it's probably not going to, but don't quote me on that. It does happen. It's just not, you know, as big of a problem as it was with the previous generation Xenons and Zephyrs, and of course the air fryer is beeping when I'm trying to do a video. But yeah, so, funny story that I'll tell with this is that my brother actually had this exact console. Not this exact one, but the same exact model, same chipset, and same model in Elite. And this was about 10 or 12 years ago. And at the time, I was really wanting my own Xbox 360 because my dad had one and I didn't have my own yet. And I was really wanting a fat. The Slim had just come out, but I was really wanting a fat 360. And my brother had this exact one. And he made a deal with me at the time where he would give me this 360 if I used my birthday money, or I assume it was birthday money, that I had gotten to buy clothes for whenever I visited my mother. Now, of course, that deal sort of fell through because I then didn't see my mom for a long time. Those clothes I eventually outgrew, and my brother basically just took the console back. He never actually gave me the console. But it's not a big deal because obviously I have one of these now. And hey, 360s are super cheap now, so it's not the end of the world. At the time, I ended up just going to GameStop. My dad actually bought me a Modern Warfare 2 limited edition from GameStop. It was a bundle at the time where you got a few games, an extra controller, and a Kinect or something like that. This was like 2013 roughly. So maybe you could probably look back and actually find the exact bundle that I'm talking about. But it was a GameStop bundle where it came with a Kinect and a hard drive and all that stuff with a Fat 360. So I ended up just getting that instead. Now, unfortunately, I don't have that Modern Warfare 2 console anymore because I had to exchange it because it didn't read discs. And then the next one kept scratching my discs. And then the next one I kept for a long time, but I finally sold it a couple years ago because they did the fan mod on it. So it was really loud and really annoying, but it did work perfectly. So, and that one was a Pro, so it had the silver disc tray, so now I have, you get the idea. So this is just a basic 2008 Elite, nothing too much to say about it, although because it is the exact same model that my brother had, and that I remember seeing when I was a kid, it is kind of sentimental in that degree. Although I wouldn't use this because I have a Jasper one. In fact, you'll see that right now. Okay, that was probably an editing fail, but you get the idea. This is now the Jasper one. So if I was to use an Elite, obviously I'd use the Jasper because this is the newest one. So this one's from 2009. So now we're into the 2009 consoles, of which I have plenty. This is just a basic Elite, nothing too much to say about it. 120 gigabyte hard drive, and I have a ton of these Elites, as you'll see in the next portion. So what's interesting is that every 120 gigabyte Elite was called the Elite, but what people didn't know at the time is that there were versions of the Fat 360 in 2009 and 2010 that came with 250 gigabyte hard drives, the same ones that would eventually be in the Slim, although obviously shaped differently. And those ones were called the Super Elite, which is a really cool name. I know it sounds really cheesy, but I love it. Super Elite. One other thing to note is that both with this one and with the 2008 one that you just saw, both of these Elites still have their warranty seals intact. So these ones are in perfect condition, work perfectly, no issues. And one of these, I forgot which one, is on a slightly older dashboard. It's still the Metro dashboard, but the only way I can describe it is that when you have the console offline, the interface looks exactly the same, but when it's offline, where it has the big square that says Xbox Live, basically telling you to connect it to the internet on the main home screen of the dashboard, on the older version, the Xbox Live is like green and orange, whereas on the newest dashboard, it's just all white. That's the only difference that I've really seen. The colors might be a little bit lighter too, but other than that, it's still basically the same dashboard, but is technically an older variant. Again, I don't remember which one of these had it, but one of these has. In fact, both of them might actually have, because I have two Xbox 360s that have that slightly older dashboard. But again, it's not really collectible at that point, at least to my knowledge. I don't know. Is there a collector's market for the second to newest dashboard that's identical? I don't know. If I ever plug any of these all in and run them, then you'd get the idea. So if you want videos on any of these specifically, I'll add this. Because obviously I don't want to do all that and make this an hour-long video. It's already 23 minutes, and we're barely halfway through this. Then let me know about which specific one you want to see a video on, and I'll do a proper review, plug it in, show off everything about it, and get a more detailed look at each one of these, or at least whichever one that you personally happen to request. So if you want to request a more in-depth video about any of these consoles, or any other ones that you see for that matter, then feel free to drop it in the comments below. So yeah, we'll move on to the next 2009 Xbox 360. I'm seeing red. Literally. The next 2009 360 that we're going to look at is the Xbox 360 Resident Evil 5 Limited Edition console. Now, this one is pretty cool. Not a lot of people know about this one. Pretty much everyone knows about the Halo 3, but this one isn't really as common. I don't know if this is considered rare yet, but I got this one. Again, intact warranty seal. This one's from 2009, and this one's a Super Elite. And the reason why this one's a Super Elite is because we've got a 250 gigabyte hard drive. Yeah, so we got a ton of space. So yeah, this one also feels heavier than the other 360s for some reason. But I don't think that's because of the extra hard drive space, because that's not really how it works. But either way, so love that squeaking. So this is a console that you got whenever you wanted to buy Resident Evil 5, and you thought, I want Resident Evil 5, but I want to spend way more money for it. Well, here you go. You get a whole console with it, and I believe at the time you also got 2 controllers with it. It was either 1 or 2. I don't have the box for this one, so I can't confirm. I do have the matching controller for this one, but I don't have it right now. It's just, like I said, it's in my filing cabinet at my old room at my dad's house. So I gotta go get that at some point. At some point, I'll do an actual video on my entire 360 controller collection, because there's a few that I'm gonna get really soon. So, yeah. Anyways, that is that. There's not much else to say about it, other than it's just a blood red console. In real life, it looks like a nice dark red. On my camera, it looks like it's a little bit more orangish. That's probably because of the yellow light that I have shining down on this. In fact, I have another lamp. I have another lamp right here that I didn't even... Oh, I actually might turn that off, because that's a bit too shadowy. But either way, so we've got the Resident Evil limited edition. Of course, I would not use this one. Stop beeping, air fryer. Of course, I wouldn't use this one because I'd be worried about breaking the slots on the faceplate and all that. I'm just really sad because Microsoft at the time, or probably a couple years before this, made a blue controller, like a blue and gray controller. They made like a darker blue one and like a lighter blue one. And I so wish they made a console in that color scheme, because imagine a blue Xbox 360 in a similar vein to this, but with blue instead of red. Oh my gosh, if they made a blue fat 360, I'd own 17 of them. It would be so nice. Unfortunately, we didn't get an actual blue console until much later, and until a much crappier console revision, at least in my opinion. So, but we'll get to that. For now, this is the red Resident Evil edition, and yeah, it's pretty cool. Then, manufactured exactly 1 year after the red console that I showed you, which was manufactured January of 2009, we have this console manufactured in January of 2010. And this, it looks pretty boring. It looks like just a basic Xbox 360 Pro. But it's actually not, because remember, in 2009, Microsoft discontinued the Xbox 360 Pro and completely erased it. So you could only get the arcade and the Elite by that point. So the only Pros you could find were old stock. They pretty much discontinued the Pro right after they came out with the Jaspers. They did make Jasper Pros, but very briefly, and they had 60 gigabyte hard drives. This is from 2010. It is not a Pro, and that's how I know it's not a Pro, because it's from 2010. Otherwise, doesn't actually look much like the console it's supposed to be, but I still know what it is. This is the Final Fantasy edition. I forgot exactly what number that version of Final Fantasy is, because I don't own the game, but it's the Final Fantasy edition. Now, when you bought this brand new, it came with the Final Fantasy edition faceplate, although it came separately. You still got a white faceplate in the box, but you also got the additional faceplate, so you could choose which one to use. You got 2 faceplates in the box, or 1 in the box and then 1 installed on the console. So this, obviously, they just left the OG faceplate on. And unfortunately, the only other thing that makes it the Final Fantasy edition officially is it's supposed to come with a 250 gigabyte hard drive that says Final Fantasy on the belt. But unfortunately, this one does not have the hard drive, which I didn't know until right before I started filming this video, which is pretty embarrassing. But again, this is from 2010, so I know it's a Final Fantasy. So, I mean, unless I'm wrong, people who know more about 360s can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that Pros did not exist in 2010. So, that confirms that this is a Final Fantasy edition, right? I mean, it was sold to me as a Final Fantasy edition. Theoretically, people could lie. So, I mean, if I'm wrong, if they did make Pros, manufacture Pros in 2010, and I'm just stupid, and this actually isn't a Final Fantasy edition, then feel free to let me know. But I'm very confident that they discontinued and stopped manufacturing the Pro at least a year before this console was manufactured, which tells me this is the Final Fantasy edition. Although I need to get the proper matching hard drive for it to be. I just have my old, I mentioned before that I used to use a 120 gigabyte hard drive. This is that hard drive, because I also had a Pro at the time. So this basically just looks like my old console, which is a Pro with a 120 gig drive. You get the idea. A Pro basically turned into a white Elite. So this was a Super Elite. It came with 2 standard white controllers, and it came with the 250 gigabyte Final Fantasy hard drive, and of course the game and the extra faceplate. So, but again, I don't have the box, so I could be a little bit wrong on the contents. Again, if you have this bundle in the box, then feel free to correct me about anything I said that may be incorrect. So, but nevertheless, I'm pretty sure this is a Final Fantasy edition, so that's still pretty fun. And I have a soft spot for the Pro with the silver tray. This is one of my favorite 360s, even though it is just the basic one. And I prefer using the silver tray 360, and the air fryer is beeping again. So this is personally my favorite. It's just so classic. It's just such a classic design, and I just love it. Alright, next we've got a much more boring and unfortunately more scuffed up 360. Unfortunately, the way that I had this sitting in my closet has a door that like swings open, and the door is wood on the inside, and it scuffed the crap out of this console, particularly right here. You can really feel it. So I believe these are deep scratches. I don't think I can get these out, which is unfortunate, but I'm glad that if it happened to any of the 360s, I'm glad it happened to this one, which I might even sell because I don't really like this one. This is also the same one that my dad has. This is just the basic 4 gigabyte 360S, manufactured in October 2010, just a few months after that Final Fantasy edition. So this was pretty much the launch model of the 4 gigabyte 360 because the 250 gig came out first. The 4 gigabyte came out in the fall. So this is one of the first runs of the 4 gigabyte 360S. And yeah, so it's the matte black instead of the glossy finish, although eventually the 250 gigs did eventually get downgraded to this matte finish, which most people prefer anyways, so that's fine, although it now doesn't match the Kinect or any of the accessories, but whatever. So yeah, this is just the basic 4 gigabyte. You got the little door at the bottom, no hard drive, but of course these 250 gigabyte hard drives are dirt cheap. You can find them everywhere. They're just coming out of every orifice that you can find that sells hard drives. So there is that. Pretty basic. I'm considering selling this once I find the power supply for it. But yeah, so it's just a basic 360S. I don't really like this model as much as the Fat. It just doesn't look as good in my opinion. It is kind of cute how it has this little like slope right here and it kind of angles in, but I don't really know if I like that. It just looks weird, but like not in a good way. So I don't know. I guess it's just my personal biases because I've always liked the Fat 360s, but this one in many ways is objectively better. It has better cooling. You've got a fan right there. You've got a much more easily to deal with hard drive. This is around the point when they started introducing flash storage. So you've got built-in storage of the console, and you can use USB drives instead of memory cards. Although you can also use those on the Fat 360 now because that's just a software update. But still, you got built-in Wi-Fi, although the built-in Wi-Fi isn't as good as the dedicated antennas for the old 360, and both pale in comparison to Ethernet, but you still have built-in Wi-Fi. You have a built-in port for the Kinect, so you don't have to use an external power brick that uses up more power. This, of course, uses less power, at least I think. I don't know if it actually says here. It probably doesn't. This one has been opened, so it doesn't actually say the voltages of this. Oh, wait, let's see. 10.83 amps. Okay, so it does actually use less power than the Jaspers. The Jaspers use 12 amps. I think. Yeah, that's right. So this does still use less power, and that's even with a Kinect port and extra USBs, and optical on the console, which is really nice. So you actually get optical on the console. You don't have to use the adapter, which I have and I've used whenever I want to plug it in my soundbar in the bedroom for my Fat 360s. So yeah, that's about it. Nothing else to say. It's just a basic 360S in the 4 gigabyte. This is the only 360S I have other than this one. Whoa, mama, that is sexy. So we've got a Halo 4 Special Edition Xbox 360. I forgot I even had this for the longest of time. I could have sworn I got rid of this. I had one of these years ago. I'm pretty sure this is not the first one I had. This is probably a second one. But yeah. So this, of course, was when the special editions used a 320 gigabyte hard drive to differentiate from the 250. So at the time, the highest end 360 hard drive you get was 320 gigabytes, which is pretty good. So, pretty good amount of space. And of course, underneath that little door. So this one is very pretty. This is also the only 360, to my knowledge, stock that comes with blue LEDs. And of course, every special edition 360S model had custom sounds for when you turn it on and eject the disc, which I didn't like. I don't like how the Slims make noises when you push the buttons, and I don't like that they're touch buttons. I prefer just physical buttons where the only noise you can hear is the physical click. I personally prefer that, but it is cool. It does, admittedly, when I was dailying this console, it did get pretty annoying pretty quickly, though, at least in my opinion, hearing those sounds every time I turn it on or eject a disc. Of course, you could just do it through the dashboard instead, but if I'm going to put a disc in, I'd rather just press the button, so I don't know. But this one even still has a little sticker that tells you to not move it with the disc in the tray, which of course you can't do, otherwise it's going to destroy your disc. So, yeah. And I do have the Halo 4 game that goes with this, and I have the controller that goes with this. So that is really nice. The controller I actually just got recently. So, because I had one of these controllers, it broke, and then... Or did it break? I don't remember what happened to it. I don't remember. But I had to get another one. And so I have the controller that comes with this. Then there was also another controller that's very similar in design, but slightly different, that I have as well. So... I don't want to use this because it's so pretty, and because this transparent plastic, while I love transparent game consoles, it's not as strong. A lot of these that I'll see on eBay are usually like cracked, which is not great. So, yeah. I don't know if the warranty seal's been broken on this one. Doesn't look like it has. It doesn't look like it's been opened. But, yeah. And you can tell, like, every time I pick it up, it just makes creaky and crunching noises, and I really worry for it. It doesn't look like this has been opened. That sticker still looks like it's in good shape. So this one is from 2012. So, yeah, pretty cool. Halo 4 Special Edition 360. Easily my favorite Special Edition out of the Slim 360s. And probably, if they made this color scheme on a Fat, I would own 17 of them. But, they don't. So, but if you love the 360S, I personally love this one. I still wouldn't recommend it as a daily console. It's more of a collectible, but hey, it's pretty cool either way. Xbox 360 Xbox 360 the last model of the 360 Xbox 360 in this beautiful blue color scheme. Okay, so this is the Xbox 360. It's the only model that I own. This one's the 500 gigabytes blue Call of Duty bundle, which I don't know why it was blue. It was blue because it was sold at Walmart, so that's probably why. It's got a 500 gigabyte hard drive. Pretty cool. Biggest hard drive you can use on a 360. So, I believe the hardware supports up to 2 terabytes, but for a stock console, you can only get up to 500, at least to my knowledge. So yeah, 360E. I do like this model. My fiance really wants me to use this as my main 360 and switch to it. It's really scratched up, which you can't really see in the video, but in real life you can see it's just really scuffed to shit. But it's not... I mean, it is pretty bad, honestly. But I love this color scheme. The dark blue, this is my favorite color blue. Again, if they made this in a Fat 360, I would own 17 of them. I don't know why I keep saying 17. I don't know why that's the number that I always land on, but whatever. Doesn't matter. So, this looks great. I love this. It's got the dark blue, but then it's got the turquoise accents, which some people don't like, but I love it. This looks so cool. I do have the matching controller as well, and this is just very, very beautiful. It's unfortunate though that it's the 360e, which is a pretty bad model. I mean, it's really not. It's perfectly fine. There's nothing really wrong with it. It has Wi-Fi. They removed the USB port, but they did go back to the physical buttons, which I prefer. Although the eject button is supposed to be on this side. Obviously, they did that to save space, but yeah, it's a little bit more awkward when you have it vertically, which is how I have it in my setup. So one thing that's unfortunate though is that the ring of light is gone. So on every other 360, it'll show you in quadrants of 4 how many controllers you have synced up. It was especially prevalent on the old consoles as well as the red lights. But this one, it just, when you turn it on, it just whole lights up green. There's no quadrants. And I assume that's to get you used to the Xbox One, which doesn't have the any sort of way to differentiate controllers, which is really stupid. I don't know why they did that. At least in this case on the 360, it actually shows you on the controller which player you are, so you don't really need for it to show on the console, so it's not the end of the world, but it's still kind of annoying. Just kind of lost a lot of the soul of the 360 that the original model had. But hey, if you're going to buy a 360 in today's day and age, this is probably going to be the one to get. It's not like the PS3, where the late model is obviously so much cheaper and crappier that you want to find an old one. Because, I mean, I did just do a video on this, and look at this. This sucks. I'm going to return this tomorrow, because this is just stupid. What is this? But yeah, so late model 360, late model PS3, but the PS3 is not the topic of this video, so we're going to set that aside. So yeah, that's the 360e. Oh no. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like I forgot to talk about my 360s that are in the box. Let's do that real quick. This thing is heavy. This is the Xbox 360 Special Edition Splinter Cell Conviction Bundle. Wait a minute, this is just another Elite. Okay, well, nothing special about this one, unfortunately. It's just another Elite. Basic Elite. And it's not even a Super Elite. At least I don't think. Got a bunch of crap. Okay, that's cool. Okay, so we've got that. This isn't really worthy of an unboxing video. Oh, it does have a 250GB hard drive. Okay, so it is a Super Elite, but they didn't call it a Super Elite. So this one has a 250GB hard drive in a lovely black finish, identical to the last console that we're going to find. It's weird how it has a black finish, considering we have just a silver disc tray. Considering the Resident Evil one had a silver fin, it doesn't matter. So, although actually the black does look nicer. So, okay, well, not much in here. What is this? Is this a Falcon power supply? Yeah, I think this is a Falcon, this isn't even the right power supply. I mean, it'll work. Yeah, 14.2 amps. This is a Falcon power supply. But I mean, it will work with this. So, at some point, oh, I almost knocked this over. At some point, I will do a video on all the Xbox 360 power bricks, so you know which one is the right one for your console. So if you want to see that video, then subscribe to Intellitech Mobile, and like this video, and leave a comment. Preferably a nice one. But, yeah, it's up to you. Okay, so, this is not exciting at all. This is just another Elite. The camera doesn't want to focus on it, but it's just another Elite, and this one's from 2009. Okay. So this one's not interesting at all. I have so many of these Elites. Which is weird, because most people that have 360s from 2009 have arcades. Probably because they already had hard drives from their launch 360s, and they just didn't feel like buying all that again. Which is understandable. So yeah, this is my third of my 3 just basic 360 Elites, although this one does have a bigger hard drive. Although I have a spare 120, so I could... What is this actually supposed to have? Let me make sure this is correct. Oh, wow, focus. Okay, so we do have a... Yeah, 2 controllers, the game, obviously, which I think I have. We have a 250GB hard drive, so that is correct, and it's supposed to have a headset, which obviously none of that is in the box. So, yeah, this one's pretty uninteresting for the most part, because it's not actually complete. But we do have the box, which is pretty nifty. So this one is in the box, which is pretty cool. But other than that, it's just a basic console. It doesn't really feel like a special edition. Because, I mean, at least with the Final Fantasy one, at least you got a faceplate that you could put on. This just has a big hard drive. So, but hey, on the bright side, some people prefer that. There's a lot of people where they want the bigger hard drive, they want the more utilitarian box, where they want the bigger hard drive, they want the extra controller, they want the game that they were going to get anyways that they probably bought for the console, but they don't want an ugly paint job. And for them, a bundle like this is perfect. So, I totally get it. And yeah, it is true that I would rather daily this than my Halo 3 or my Resident Evil, probably because, well, this just looks like a normal 360. So if I somehow break something on it, it's easier to find a replacement part, like if I break the faceplate or whatever. So that's that. So that's my 1 out of 2 of my boxed 360s. So we'll set. Okay, we're not going to set that on the box because that might break. Also, since I have 2 Jasper Elites from 2009, I had to double check and make sure this is actually the Splinter Cell one because they literally look the same. But if you look at the manufacturing date, I'm pretty sure that tells me that this is it. I don't know. I might have gotten the 2 mixed up. Who knows? Doesn't really matter. I don't know. Maybe it does. But hey, we do have some paperwork here that I just dropped. Thanks, eBay. Yeah, I did buy quite a few of these on eBay. Start here. Okay. Boys and Girls Club of America? What is that? Oh, is that a code? Oh. Avatar hoodie codes. Huh. I'm going to have to renew that. All right. So, and finally, we've got something special that I'm actually not going to unbox in this video. Yes, I'm teasing you guys. This is my holy grail. The Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Limited Edition Xbox 360 Super Elite console. So if you want to see this, you're going to have to subscribe, like this video, comment on it, and this I will unbox for my 1,000 subscriber special. So if you want to see this unboxed, this also does have the original dashboard on it, has not been updated. I did open the physical box just to make sure that everything's in there. Oh, nope. I'm teasing you. Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay, that's enough. So, that is for another day. This is heavy. That is for another day. The Xbox 360 Modern Warfare 2 Limited. I paid way too much for this on eBay. I don't know why I bought this, but it's so much fun because this is one of my favorite bundles. And because this was my first 360, the Modern Warfare 2 edition, and I love having it back. I did open this up and take the game out, but actually no, I think the seller did that. Now that I remember correctly, I think that's how I got it. Because the seller bought this just for the game and then took the game out and didn't touch the rest of it, which is hilarious. But I obviously already have Modern Warfare 2, so I'm not worried about the game just not being in there. Anyways, I'm getting too excited. I'm getting too ahead of myself. This is for a future video, so we're not doing this right now. We're ignoring that for now. But this was Intellitech Mobile with my entire Xbox 360 console collection as well as my 2 Xbox Ones. And that is that. This is Intellitech Mobile signing out. Let me know out of all of these that you saw which one your favorite is, and if you had a different variant that was your personal favorite, then be sure to drop that in the comments below. What is your favorite Xbox console? What variant? What color scheme? What configuration? All that stuff. What's your ideal Xbox setup? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, Intellitech Mobile signing out. Like this video, subscribe if you choose to. And if you do decide to subscribe, then you'll see this once I hit 1,000. So, anyways, again, Intellitech Mobile signing out. I'll see you guys in the next video, and I hope you all have a good one. Peace.